The series begins in 1984 at the All-Valley Karate Championship Under-18 tournament. Daniel LaRusso steps into the match, even though he's injured and about to withdraw. Daniel faces Johnny, and even while injured, it's clear Daniel is stronger than Johnny. The Cobra Kai sensei wipes the blood off Johnny's face and tells him, "Remember, you're a Cobra Kai student. Our motto is, no mercy, go for his injured leg." Johnny returns to the match and follows the sensei's instructions, even though it's illegal. He thinks this will secure his victory, but is shocked when Daniel lands the final blow to his face and wins the match. Years pass, bringing us to the present day. Johnny, the one who lost, is now living a dull and miserable life, drinking all the time. When he steps out of his apartment, a boy named Miguel approaches him, telling Johnny that he and his family just moved into the apartment next door, and asking if there's a problem with the water. Johnny tells him, "I've been living here for 10 years, and nothing works right in this area. No gas, no water, no electricity." Johnny talks to him in a rude way, then gets in his car and drives off. While driving, Johnny spots a billboard for Daniel LaRusso's car dealership, the very guy who beat him in the tournament, and from that moment, both their lives changed completely, but in opposite directions. Johnny hides his anger and drives away. He goes to his job, not a specific profession, just odd work like cleaning houses, doing electrical repairs, and mounting TVs. The homeowner tells him she asked him to mount the TV on the other wall. Johnny says, "Well, you told me facing the door, and here it is facing the door." She replies, "I meant this door, you idiot. Move it quickly. I have guests coming." Johnny tells her he'll need to go get his tools from home to fix the holes in the wall, and that it will take a long time, so he'll come back in the morning. But the woman says, "Not my problem. Do it now." Johnny gets frustrated and curses at her. His boss overhears this and fires him for insulting the client. Johnny is shocked. He turns on the car radio only to hear a commercial for Daniel LaRusso. Furious, he switches it off. Later, Johnny stops at a supermarket near home to get some food. By coincidence, Miguel is there and greets him, explaining he's buying juice for his sick grandmother. Johnny replies, "Not my problem." Miguel and the cashier make fun of Johnny in Spanish. Johnny doesn't understand Spanish, but senses they're mocking him, so he throws the money at the cashier and walks out. Outside, he notices 4 street punks entering the supermarket, so he sits aside and eats his food. Johnny is surprised to see those 4 punks beating up Miguel, even pouring his grandmother's juice all over him. At first, Johnny doesn't get involved, but when they slam Miguel onto Johnny's car, he gets angry and says, "That's my car! Leave the kid alone!" One of them says, "Hey, I know you. Aren't you the plumber who fixed our sink?" They all laugh and mock him, then shove Johnny. That's when Johnny loses it, fighting them one by one. None of them can take him down. Miguel watches, impressed, as Johnny takes them all out and leaves them lying on the ground. No matter how many times they try to get back up, Johnny puts them down again, until the police arrive. But instead of arresting the punks, the cops take Johnny in, thinking he was the one causing the trouble. The next morning, Johnny is released from the station. Miguel comes to thank him for what he did the night before and asks what fighting style he used against those guys. Johnny replies, "That was karate." Miguel asks him to teach him karate, but Johnny says, "No, I don't train anyone anymore." Miguel keeps insisting, explaining that once school starts, those same guys will beat him up again. Johnny tells him, "Not my problem. I'm looking for work and I don't have time for this. And stop talking to me every time you see me." He leaves. Back at his apartment, Johnny is shocked to find a strange woman inside. It turns out she's the wife of Sid, the man who had married Johnny's mother. Sid tells Johnny, "I'm the one who paid your bail this time, just like I always do. I never thought when I married your mom that I'd be stuck with a kid to take care of." Johnny has always disliked Sid, and they've had problems for years. Johnny says, "I didn't ask you to bail me out. I want you out of my apartment right now." Sid replies that he only came to give Johnny a check. Johnny refuses the money, rips up the check, and Sid leaves with his wife. Johnny sits down to watch TV. He hears a motivational speaker say, "God doesn't give people talents and abilities they won't use." The words stick with Johnny, and he remembers his days training in karate. The advice moves him, but suddenly, another Daniel LaRusso car dealership commercial comes on. Johnny gets furious, wants to change the channel, but the remote doesn't work. Losing his temper, he smashes the TV, then drives off to blow off steam. On the road, he recalls the old days when he was in love with a girl named Ali and wanted to marry her, but Daniel LaRusso stole her from him. Every time Johnny remembers that final blow he took from Daniel, his anger builds, and he keeps on drinking. Johnny drives to the same place where the All-Valley tournament was once held. He gets out of his car and remembers the moment his sensei yelled at him for losing to Daniel, grabbing Johnny by the neck and calling him a failure. Suddenly, a car hits Johnny's parked vehicle. He rushes over to find it's full of girls. Johnny, angry, tries to open the door, but they quickly speed away. When Johnny tries to start his own car, it won't start. He calls a tow truck to take it to any repair shop, but later discovers the driver is heading to Daniel LaRusso's auto repair shop. Johnny wants to stop him, but the truck is already gone. The next day, Johnny goes to Daniel's dealership, trying to hide his face so Daniel won't recognize him. He tells the receptionist, "My car is being repaired here, but I want to take it to a different shop." The receptionist asks why, saying, "We have the best repair shop in the city." Johnny insists on taking his car, so she decides to let him. But before she finishes the paperwork, Johnny hears Daniel is on his way. He tries to leave before Daniel arrives, but he's too late. Daniel walks in, spots Johnny, and greets him. He even calls over his employees to meet him. One of them says, "Hey, isn't this the guy you beat at the All Valley tournament?" Daniel replies, "Yeah, I punched him right in the face and gave him the final blow." Johnny is annoyed at the mockery and says, "You know the move you used to win that match was illegal." Daniel shoots back, "What about you kicking my injured leg?" Johnny replies, "At least the referee saw it and warned me. You won with an illegal move." One of the staff tries to calm Johnny down, and Daniel sends them away. Daniel then asks why Johnny is there and learns from the receptionist that Johnny's car is being repaired, but he wants to move it to another shop. Daniel tells him, "Your car is in the best repair shop in the city with the best prices. Leave it here, I'll take care of it. But your car is pretty old. You sure you don't want to buy a new one?" Johnny answers sharply, "No, I want my car." Daniel then offers, "I'll repair it for free. Your car's so old that my guys don't usually work on this type, so they'll get some good practice, and you'll get the repair for free." Johnny refuses at first, but when he hears how much the repair will actually cost, he's stunned into silence and lets Daniel handle the free repair. After that, Daniel's daughter, Samantha, comes over to meet Johnny, and Johnny is shocked, realizing she's one of the girls who hit his car the night before. Daniel returns to Johnny, hands him a small plant, and says, "This is a gift from the dealership to every customer." The last thing Daniel tells him is, "I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at your karate school, Cobra Kai." Then Daniel walks away, leaving Johnny feeling humiliated. Johnny throws the plant in the street, then runs into Miguel. He asks Miguel, "Ready to learn karate?" Miguel is overjoyed. Johnny cashes the check from his stepfather, Sid, and uses the money to set up his karate school, naming it after his old dojo, Cobra Kai. He starts training Miguel right away, attacking him suddenly, knocking him to the ground and saying, "That's your first lesson. When you go after an opponent, you strike first, strike hard, and show no mercy. And remember, when the enemy comes at you, you need to be ready at all times." Miguel is shocked at how intense Johnny is. We also learn Miguel has asthma, as he starts having trouble breathing and uses his inhaler. Johnny takes the inhaler and throws it away, telling him, "This place isn't for the weak." He repeats the dojo motto, "Strike first, strike hard, no mercy." Johnny explains that the motto isn't just for karate, it's a way of life. For example, if you're at a party and see a pretty girl you want to talk to, you go talk to her first. Don't wait for someone else to go over and steal her from you. Miguel replies, "But I don't go to parties." Johnny says, "Then forget that and focus on karate. Now give me 50 push-ups." Miguel tries, but can only manage 2. Johnny tells him to switch to sit-ups instead. At that moment, a stranger walks in. Johnny assumes he's there to sign up for karate and lose some belly fat, but the man says, "I'm an inspector from the health department. Here's a list of things you need to have before you can open a martial arts school." The inspector looks around and finds a lot of electrical work that needs fixing. He tells Johnny he'll be back next week to make sure the place is up to code. Meanwhile, we see Daniel at his luxurious home, living an ideal and happy life. By coincidence, as he's driving, he spots a sign for Johnny's new Cobra Kai dojo. Later, he attends a party with his wife Amanda and their son Anthony. Daniel tries to get Anthony involved in the party, but his son is extremely lazy, antisocial, and glued to his tablet. A man and his daughter, Aisha, come over to greet Daniel and Amanda. Aisha asks about Samantha and wants to see her. Amanda lies, saying Samantha is at her grandmother's house. After they leave, Daniel asks Amanda why she lied. Amanda explains, "Because Samantha has new friends now, and she doesn't want to hang out with her old ones." At the Cobra Kai dojo, Johnny has Miguel cleaning the place. Miguel doesn't understand what this has to do with karate, but Johnny tells him, "Be grateful. In other places, students have to do even more than this." Miguel notices Johnny's trophies and medals. Johnny tells him, "In my first year at the All Valley tournament, I didn't lose a single point." Miguel then asks, "What about your final year?" Johnny gets irritated, since in his last year he lost to Daniel, so he changes the subject and tells Miguel to keep cleaning. Miguel's mom calls, asking where he is. Miguel lies, saying he's listening to a debate and will be home soon. He explains to Johnny that he lied because his mom can't know he's training in a violent sport. Johnny asks, "What about your dad?" Miguel says he hasn't seen or heard from his father in years. Meanwhile, Daniel and Amanda return home to find Samantha has thrown a party without telling them, inviting lots of kids from school. Daniel kicks everyone out, but Amanda doesn't like how he handled it, saying he embarrassed Samantha in front of her friends. Daniel tells her he doesn't like Samantha's new friends. He starts cleaning the house after the guests leave and notices an old photo of himself with his late mentor, Mr. Miyagi, as well as a picture of him training Samantha in karate. In the present, Samantha is talking to her friend when Daniel walks in to speak with her. He apologizes for how he spoke to her in front of her friends. Samantha admits she was wrong for not telling him she was inviting people over. Daniel then asks if there's a boy she's seeing. She says yes, a boy from school named Kyler. Daniel tells her to invite Kyler over for dinner so they can meet him, and she agrees. The next day, Miguel starts his first day at his new school. He sits with the 2 most bullied kids there. Coincidentally, it's the same school Samantha LaRusso attends with her friend. When Miguel sees Samantha, he's instantly attracted to her, but his new friend warns him, "Don't even try. Those girls are rich kids." One girl girl, Yasmin, mocks Eli for having an injury on his lip and also makes fun of Aisha for being overweight. Samantha, however, is different from her friend. She doesn't like bullying anyone. Miguel still likes Samantha and wants to talk to her. He remembers Johnny's advice: if you like a girl, go talk to her first. He builds up the courage to approach her, but suddenly Kyler sits down next to Samantha, teasing Miguel in the process. Miguel gets discouraged and returns to his seat. It turns out that Kyler is one of the guys Johnny had beaten up at the supermarket. After that, Miguel goes to the karate dojo where Johnny is training him. Johnny keeps telling him, in dangerous situations, always strike with full force. Miguel continues training while Johnny steps aside to answer a phone call. On the line is the principal of Johnny's son's school. His son's name is Robbie. The principal tells him, I tried to call Robbie's mother, but she didn't answer, so I'm calling you to let you know that your son has been caught using illegal substances at school. Johnny is shocked. He calls Robbie, but Robbie never really liked Johnny and speaks to him reluctantly. Robbie says, don't pretend you care about me. You're a terrible father, then hangs up. Johnny ends the call, goes back to Miguel, and continues the training. He tells him, imagine this dummy is your enemy, and hit it with everything you've got. Miguel imagines Kyler's face and strikes with full power. Meanwhile, Kyler goes to Daniel's house just as Samantha invited him. Daniel notices that Kyler has injuries on his face and asks, who hurt you like that? Kyler lies, saying, a karate pro jumped me and my friends at the supermarket for no reason. Daniel realizes Kyler is talking about Johnny. At the Cobra Kai dojo, Miguel is cleaning the glass when Johnny orders him to go clean the bathroom. Miguel obeys. At that moment, Daniel arrives and meets Johnny. Daniel tells him, you shouldn't be hitting a bunch of kids. Stay away from them. They're my daughter's friends. Johnny replies, I hit them because they're a bunch of bullies. They were ganging up on a kid half their size. Teach your daughter to hang out with decent people. Miguel then comes out of the bathroom, and Daniel warns him, take my advice. Don't train under this sensei, or you'll end up like him, a failure. Looking at Johnny, Daniel adds, our conversation isn't over. He then leaves. Later, Miguel goes home and keeps training. His grandmother doesn't really know what he's doing. Then he sits with his mother, Carmen, who asks, what are you going to wear for the school's Halloween party? Miguel hasn't decided yet, so she says, all right, I'll make you something amazing. At Cobra Kai, Johnny finds himself overwhelmed with bills and expenses. He asks Miguel if any of his friends might want to learn karate, but Miguel has no friends since he's new in town. Miguel then asks Johnny, when will you teach me how to kick? Johnny says, you're not ready yet, and I need more students in the dojo, or I won't be able to keep teaching you. Miguel suggests, why don't you try advertising? Johnny admits he hasn't thought about that before. While Daniel was watching his daughter with Kyler, Amanda told him not to worry about Samantha, saying there's no way she would believe anything from a loser like Johnny. At the dealership, Daniel's employees suggested he spy on his daughter's phone to see the messages between her and Kyler so he could find out how far their relationship had gone. Meanwhile, at Miguel's school, the principal said a student's mother had complained because some kids bullied her son about his appearance to the point that he cried, and the student she meant was Eli. Miguel then offered his new friends to come and learn karate so they could defend themselves, but Dimitri didn't take it seriously. Later, Aisha came to sit next to Samantha and talked about what they would wear for the Halloween party, but Yasmin, Samantha's friend, spoke rudely to Aisha. Samantha told her they already had a specific costume planned for the party, and Yasmin mocked Aisha, saying there's no way Samantha would wear the same thing as her. Aisha got really upset and left. Johnny, meanwhile, talked to a homeless woman on the street, asking her to hold a sign for his dojo. He had decided to advertise in the streets, so he went around handing out flyers to teenagers, but no one seemed interested. That night, Daniel found his daughter in the bathroom and decided to open her chat with Kyler. He saw that Kyler had written, at the Halloween party, I want to show you something big. Daniel was shocked, assuming it was something inappropriate. Amanda saw him, but he didn't tell her what he had read and simply walked away. At dinner, Daniel told his daughter that he would be accompanying her to the party as a chaperone. On his way to the dojo, Johnny saw the homeless woman sitting without holding the sign as he had asked. He felt so discouraged that he almost decided not to open the dojo at all. He told Miguel they'd take the day off, but Miguel had a surprise for him. He had created a website for Cobra Kai. Johnny was thrilled and regained his motivation. He took Miguel to a place with a swimming pool to teach him how to kick. Johnny told him, first, I'm going to tie your hands, then suddenly pushed him into the water, telling him to try to swim using only his legs so they'd get stronger. Miguel didn't know how and started to sink, so Johnny pulled him out to let him catch his breath, then threw him back in. Miguel struggled hard, but eventually managed to get out on his own. The next morning, Johnny begins training Miguel at school. By the end of the session, Johnny nods in approval. Miguel is surprised at how quickly he's improving. After training, Johnny announces, I'm coming with you to the Halloween party. We're going to hand out Cobra Kai flyers to the students. Miguel hesitates, but shows Johnny the costume his mom made for him. Johnny takes one look and smirks. No way you're going to the party in that ridiculous outfit. You'll ruin the dojo's reputation. Leave it to me. I'll get you something cool. Later, Johnny hands him a black skeleton costume, the very same style he wore back in high school. Miguel meets up with his two closest friends. Across the room, Samantha runs into Aisha and, with genuine regret, apologizes for Yasmin's cruel comments earlier. She suggests they hang out again sometime, and Aisha, being warm-hearted, forgives her. Meanwhile, Daniel spots Miguel wearing the skeleton costume. him. His eyes narrow as a flood of memories hit him. Years ago, Johnny and his Cobra Kai friends, dressed the exact same way, surrounded him and beat him down. At that moment, Johnny is outside in the hall, taping Cobra Kai flyers to lockers when Daniel approaches. "Why are you bringing Cobra Kai back?" Daniel demands. "I'm not going to let you mess with these kids' heads with your methods." Johnny barely has time to answer before Daniel spots Samantha running with Kyler. Alarmed, he storms off after them. Kyler reaches into his pocket to pull out the big thing he'd hinted about earlier. Daniel's protective instincts flare. Convinced Kyler's about to make a move on his daughter, he steps in, ready to stop him. But the truth is far more innocent. Kyler was only trying to give Samantha a bracelet. Humiliated, Samantha snaps at her father for embarrassing her yet again, before storming off. Elsewhere, meanwhile, Yasmin and her clique film Aisha eating and post the video to the school group, mocking her and calling her a pig, which makes everyone at the party laugh. Aisha gets hurt and assumes Samantha went along with it. Miguel and his friends have been drinking heavily and head to the bathroom, but Kyler and his friends walk in at the same time. Kyler starts telling his friends what happened with Samantha and Daniel. Miguel and his friends overhear, and Kyler's group assumes they're eavesdropping. Miguel's friends run away, but Miguel stands his ground. Kyler and his friends mock him and Johnny, but Miguel remembers his training and kicks Kyler. Still, because they outnumber him, they manage to grab him, lock the door, and beat him mercilessly. As for Johnny, he sees a picture of his old girlfriend, Allie, the one Daniel stole from him back in the day, and then spots Kyler and his friends coming out of the bathroom. He also sees Miguel lying on the ground, so he picks him up and takes him home. When Carmen, Miguel's mother, sees what happened to her son, she's shocked to learn that Johnny has been training him in karate. She tells Johnny to stay away from her son, and here ends the first part of Cobra Kai. If you want part 2, help us reach 1,000 likes on this part, and to whoever watched till the end, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Bye bye.